Okay, welcome to a special Saturday edition of Deep Purple Podcast. I have my friends from Odin's Dan podcast, and let's introduce them the right way. A-Train and oh, awesome! I got to bring Michael back now.
Uh-oh.
No, wait a minute. There you go. Okay. Hey, welcome. Special Saturday edition of Deep Purple Podcast. I have A-Train, fucking A-Train, I gotta swear, because I listen to your podcast.
You have to,
And I got Odin's Hammer, which we've done a podcast before, and so he's familiar with the concept, if you will. And
it's a privilege to be here to help you test your bandwidth, D-Vike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm seeing no difference from when you and I did it last time, Odin Hammer. So you're still as white as you were last time. So I don't know if
he looks like the prince of the albinos over there. And I also noticed his video quality is very, very 2006.
Yeah, it might be your camera or your bandwidth because A-Train looks great. You know, as great can look. So
my mom thinks I'm handsome. So
there you go. So again, this is so cool, and let's kick it off by saying we need a win tomorrow for sure. And before we get into that, A-Train, I know I've asked Michael this, but give me a quick rundown of when you became a Vikings fan and the whole history of you and Bleeding Purple.
Yeah, Bleeding Purple.
Bleeding Purple.
What's that?
Bleeding Purple.
What's that? What's that?
Being a Vikings fan.
Oh, I got you. They're just talking about a different podcast or something. Okay, I was like, it's Odin's Dan, man. Vikings fan. I was never a huge football fan. Probably started getting into football and watching the Vikings in the late 90s, I would say. I definitely remember the Dante Culpepper days. That's when I really started to pay attention and really started to like the team and get to know the players and stuff. So a little bit later than most fans probably. Kind of more came on as of, especially the last 5 years, grown immensely and doing the podcast and everything. But yeah, I mean, probably the late 90s. Like I remember, like Robert Smith and stuff. I was kind of starting to dabble in those days. Obviously, Randy. I was probably the tail end of Randy Moss and CC in a way.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure Dante was the quarterback when I really first started watching. So
okay. Did you think he was a franchise type quarterback or close to it or no or?
Man, thinking about that now, it was so long ago. I thought he obviously had the talent and the potential. He had a bunch of injuries too, didn't he? Wasn't he plagued with injury?
I can't remember. I mean, he wasn't.
He missed
a
couple games with a transverse process, bones in his back.
Oh, really? Okay.
Where he dove head first. He missed a couple games here and there.
Okay.
And then just had that one massive injury, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Which pretty much ended his career, right?
For all intents and purposes, I suppose.
Yeah.
Help anyway.
Yeah. He was close to being a franchise type quarterback. I mean, he could play, and he had Randy Moss, so I mean, that was easy. Did you know that in 2003 they had the total offense, like they had the best offense in the NFL? This is even after the 98 season. So they were pretty good with, Culpepper and Moss. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay.
Yeah, he could throw deep. I just remember Culpepper doing a lot of long bombs. I mean, and he was reasonably mobile. I think those are two accurate accurate statements. He could throw and he was kind of mobile.
Yeah, and he was big. He was like 260.
Mm-hmm. Big guy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so and then let's move forward. So give us your number one win and your number one loss, if you will. What really stands out to you with wins and losses as top and top?
Yeah, I mean, if I look at just since I've really been paying attention, especially those last 5 years, obviously, you got the Blair Walsh Biff in TCF.
Yeah.
With the Seahawks going into the playoffs, that was the most devastating. Well, I take that back. I was watching that NFC Championship game with Favre and Peterson in 2009. I was paying attention then and watching that. That was a bunch of crap. That was pretty. I wouldn't say I was as big of a fan then as I am now, but I would say that 2009 NFC Championship game actually takes it with that Blair kick in close second. And then, of course, the best win. I mean, I can't think of anything. I won't go back in the past when I wasn't as big of a fan as I am now and just draw off of a good game. So something that I watched that I remember that's more recent, obviously the Minneapolis Miracle will forever be. I have a nice picture on my wall of Diggs.
Yeah.
Right up over here off to the side. That's got to be the best win that I'll probably remember for a long time if we don't shape things up.
Yeah. And, if Diggs does leave, if he really wants to leave, I say just let him go because he's given us a memory of a lifetime. So he'll always be in our hearts as, because that was just an unbelievable, moment for us as Vikings fans. So when did you decide to start doing a podcast with OdinHammer? Talk about that. What's the thinking behind that and what's the goal?
Yeah, I think it was about 2016. I was working at a day job where I could listen to a lot of podcasts during the day and have my phone and have earbuds in and just work on a computer. And I was trying to find a Vikings podcast, and I was listening to some of them and just not really that. I have a very high threshold and expectation of entertainment and comedy. I like Adam Carolla. I like Phil Hendry. I like a lot of the stand-up comics now have their own podcasts. So I like good conversation as well, or something that's interesting or helps me learn, not just constant comedy and constant stimulation, but I still want some level of entertainment and production value and comedic value. And all the podcasts, all the Viking podcasts that I were listening to at the time, and there are probably a quarter of what there are now or half of what there are now, but I was just bored. I was just bored and getting put to sleep. And I was just like, I think I've always liked audio. I was briefly on Free Public Radio locally here in Fargo, which was fun as hell. But I never really done a lot with radio, but I've always liked audio, good, production quality, audio equipment. Not hardcore into that, but I've always liked it in like theater with audio and stuff like that. And comedy, I've always loved comedy, stand-up comedy, making people laugh, stuff like that. So it was just it was a good fit and good timing. And obviously I can get him to come over and talk about it with me, and I can kind of run everything else. I do websites, I do SEO. So I do everything with the social media and all that, and just have him come over and talk. And I thought I could fill that gap and be different enough and do comedy stuff and pre-recorded segments, but still do the basics of informing and entertaining and stuff like that. So I just wanted to start a podcast and ran it by him, and we came up with Odins Dan, and the rest is history.
Yeah, you've done like 90 episodes, right? Or am I right about that?
Yep. 90 on the money.
Yeah.
90 on the money.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you guys friends from before, or did you just kind of meet one day and then just kind of...
I went down to the bus stop and I just started throwing water balloons filled with Nair at the back of people's heads. Because if you get one good hit, it'll just ruin their whole year. And I hit him in the back of the head, and he said, and then he punched me out, and then that was it. So.
We've known each other for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2002, I'd say.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
Are you from South Dakota, or from Minneapolis? A-Train.
North Dakota. Neither. North Dakota.
North Dakota. Okay, all right.
Okay. Yep. Yep, born and raised here in Grohl, exciting Fargo, don't you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. What's the temperature right now? Like -2 or something, or?
-2. Thank God it's not. It's very rainy. I think it's 50. It's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's been raining nonstop since last evening, I believe. Right, Hammer?
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, last year I had the opportunity of living in Minneapolis for the whole football season before I moved to Phoenix, where I am right now. And that was quite the experience to wake up in October 10th. I look out my window and it's snowing. I'm like, what is going on here? I thought maybe I could live in Minneapolis or Minnesota, and I just can't when it's snowing in October. So that was kind of interesting. Well, thank you.
You don't like the snow?
What's that?
You don't like the cold and the snow?
I
You
do
don't like the cold and the snow?
not. No, I've had enough of.
Blood running through your veins?
Yeah,
Viking.
I know. Sometimes I ask myself, why am I a Vikings fan? Because I don't even like the cold. So, I don't think I could ever have gone through the Met Stadium, days when you were outside and exposed and all that. So let's get into the season and what's going on. And I posted early in the season. I didn't want any drama, and we have drama. Everyone's fighting now, and Diggsy's he's unhappy. He wants to leave. Thielen is saying whatever he feels like saying, and now Cousins has a podcast of his own. I don't know if you've watched this podcast, and he had Thielen on, and he's apologizing. The whole thing is, crazy. What's your take on all this? What do you think?
I'm surprised Cousins can hear in his headphones because he can't hear shit on the field when somebody's coming around the back to sack him. But why don't you go first, Hammer?
Yeah, Hammer, give us your insight.
There's just a lot of frustration from not catching the ball quite a bit. Wide receivers like to catch the ball. That's kind of how it is. I don't think Diggs actually wants out. I don't think he wants to be traded. I think he just wants the team to throw the football more. And it's spilling over into missing a practice. The whole missing practice thing I didn't like. He essentially came out and said he had a cold, right?
Yeah, he come on with, looks like he was sick. He clearly looked sick, so.
I feel like with a cold, you can still at least be a limited participant in practice. I kind of feel like a professional athlete having a cold shouldn't keep you from practicing with your teammates. But my sense of it, just from a distance looking at it, I don't think Diggs is as upset as the media wants to make it sound because they want a story. I imagine he is a little upset, but I don't believe Diggs wants to be traded.
I do too. I think he's, he wants to get some passes thrown his way like any other receiver. But to want to be traded, I don't think. I kind of think he wants to be on the East Coast, but I think he still wants to be here another year or two, and maybe in 3 years he might want to go back to the East Coast because that's where he's from. But I think everyone's making too much of this because it sounds like we're 0-4, but we're 2-2, and we were one play away from being 3-1. We should have won the Packers game. Kirk Cousins,
Agreed.
If he doesn't throw that interception and we run it in like I thought we should have, we're 3-1 and we're okay. So I think it's making a mountain out of a molehill or whatever. All this talk, everyone's unhappy. We're still 2-2, and if we win
There's a lot of
Sunday,
football left to be played.
yeah, much, and I don't know. What's your? Do you think we get by the Giants and get back on track? Either one of you?
I think it's just the way we lost the two losses. Neither game was good. Both games were bad. Both games were the total opposite of the other two non-division rival games. I actually just did a little blog article last night on Odins Dan about that, and just kind of vented a little bit and just talked about the state of the team and the dead weight that we have. That I coined a new term to myself in my own head of dead weight. These high salaries and very low PFF grades and very low performances out of these players. So something better turn around and shape up. Otherwise, that ain't looking good. It ain't going to be a key to success. But I just think those two losses were just so embarrassingly bad that's why everybody is just, why is it we're so good and then we're bad and then we're really good again and then we are just embarrassed. It's just this roller coaster and people can't handle that. But I think we can beat the Giants. They got our old boy, right? They got Shermer over there.
Yeah.
They got a new young quarterback named Jones or something.
Yeah, Daniel Jones.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't looked much at the Giants lately, but they can do something. They seem okay. But it's just about if we're I think we can beat any team in the league. We just got to get our own shit together and get out of our own heads. I mean.
Yeah, I think if Kirk Cousins can elevate his game just a little bit, just to where he was last year, because he made some throws last year, so if we can get that Kirk Cousins and then this year's Dalvin Cook in our running game, not just Dalvin, I mean, Madison is playing lights out. We're a good team. Our defense is solid. We only gave up 16 points to the Bears, and they were on the field a lot on offense. So to just give up 16 points, that's not too bad. It's just that the offense.
It was really more like 13 because they had that turnover, and then the defense got a stop, and there was a field goal that first series of the second half.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Kirk Cousins is like
the win this week.
Yeah, me too. But Kirk Cousins is like the human. He's almost like the human version of our team. Very inconsistent. So much potential, so much off, so much on, but can't just keep this good high level going constantly.
Yes.
It's good games, bad games, good years, bad years. Consistent.
Yeah.
You can just say he's our team in a microcosm. You can say all that just with that one word, microcosm. There you go, A-Train.
Yeah. Whatever. In a vacuum, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. And then
just for that, you get some Christian ponder. Here you go.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I banish you.
Get it off.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that guy was so bad. It's not even funny. But so why do you think Cousins is so inconsistent? Is it because he doesn't care or he doesn't put enough time into it? You know what I mean? It's like, why can't he just be Kirk Cousins, up here all the time, So any thoughts on that?
Hammer?
I think he has happy feet quite a bit. I think he's scared of being hit when he's in the pocket. So when we're facing a good defense that gets pressure on the QB, I think he sees ghosts quite a bit. Like sometimes he feels pressure that isn't really there. Maybe he hurries a throw when he maybe had a great throw if he would have just let the routes develop a little more.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. It's just that he gets in his own head sometimes. I don't think it's an effort issue. I think Cousins does put in the requisite amount of time for an NFL quarterback. I think he's in the film room like any other QB. But I think it's mostly just a fear of getting hit is a big thing with him.
Okay. A-Train, your thoughts?
I don't think he's playing to his maximum potential, but I also don't think his ceiling is that high. I mean, he's obviously not a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, and he never will be. But he needs to maximize what he has, and he's not even doing that. But I don't think he's always going to be one of those above average, middle QBs, I think, that can get the job done for sure. I mean, he's probably better than other quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. Look at maybe he's comparable to probably Joe Flacco. He's probably better than Trent Dilfer. He's probably better than our old Trent Johnson, who goes over to the Bucs and wins a Super Bowl, and he was just good enough to be our backup. I still don't like that guy. I don't care what anybody says. I'll never like Brad Johnson. I'll never think he was a good quarterback.
Oh, wash your mouth out with soap, young man. Brad Johnson.
Well, whatever, man. Why do you win a Super Bowl for us then? Why do you have to go to the Bucs? Why did you have to go to the Bucs team to win a Super Bowl then? Hammer, huh?
Yeah. Why did he win a Super Bowl? A-Train, because he's.
It wasn't him. It was the team around him. Why did Trent Dilfer win a Super Bowl? It wasn't Trent Dilfer. It was the team around him.
That's a good point. Like if you were to compare Cousins to another quarterback, who would that be? It certainly isn't Tom Brady or Rodgers or Marino or Favre or anything like that. Is he like a Brad Johnson? Is he like a Ponder? I mean, where do you put Cousins in terms of comparing him to a quarterback that we know, whether it's this generation or even previous generations? That's a great question. I never thought of that, because I mean, everyone's unique, I know, but where does he fit? And I think it's game to game. Some games he looks like he could be, here, and the next game he's down there. So goes back to the I was watching. Go ahead. You going to say something?
Well, he set NFL records last year and had fairly good stats on paper, really good stats on paper, surprisingly good stats on paper, but then is leading in fumbles since 2015. What the fuck is that? I mean,
yeah.
How can you be so good and so shitty at the same time and just like a shit sandwich? Like
Right. Well, I was watching a replay of the game against, it must have been Chicago. I have all the games, taped. And when he fumbled, what he tries to do is make a hero play by trying to get rid of the ball, and then it gets knocked out instead of tucking it as soon as he's in trouble. He needs to stop thinking he's a hero and just take the sack and live to play another day, another game, another play.
Fundamental 101 when you're under pressure to take certain procedures and steps.
Right.
To sit. Running backs too. I'm sure it's drilled into them what's going on around them, what they need to be doing with the ball, how hard they need to be gripping it, where they need to be gripping it. Like, isn't that day one of being a quarterback, being under pressure?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And one player that we're not giving enough credit to is Dalvin Cook, because in college he had fumble issues, and he's not fumbling. And I don't know if you remember that coming out of college. He had
I do.
Yeah, he had
the podcast going into the 2017 draft. We were kind of looking at running backs because we figured the Vikings were going to be drafting one, and I really liked Kareem Hunt that year because he didn't fumble. I think we said that on the podcast. We didn't talk much about Dalvin Cook because we assumed he would already be drafted by the time we came on the clock because we didn't have a first-round pick that year.
That's right. Okay.
But yeah, now that you mention it, I do remember Dalvin Cook. He had a little fumbleitis at Florida State.
He did, and so far so good. I mean, I probably just jinxed him, but so far he has not fumbled like Peterson used to do in the past. I mean, Peterson was a great player, but he fumbled even after 10 years in the league. You talked about that Seattle game, that playoff game. Remember, he fumbled, late in the game. That cost us some points. He doesn't fumble, we'll win in the game. So we got to give it up to Dalvin Cook for not fumbling. He's playing lights out, and I love the way he runs. And he runs tougher than he looks. He's not like a big back, but he's running people over, and I like that. So, we just need to get Cousins on track, get him to what he was doing last year when he played well. Cut out the fumbling, just if you're going to get sacked, hold on to the ball instead of trying to throw it away, and be a hero. And I think, if we can win out at home and then win 2 to 3 games away, we're either 10-6, 11-5 would be great, 12-4 would be unbelievable. I don't see us at this point winning 12 games, though. That's where I'm at with my team, unless they turn it around. So what is your prediction for year end? Are we 10-6? Are we 9-7? What do you think? Hammer?
Well, last time I came on the Deep Purple podcast, thank you, A-Train, I went with 11-5.
Okay.
I think I'm going to stick with 11-5 even after the Bears loss. I mean, losing in Chicago is not something that was unexpected, I don't think, not for me anyway. That game last week doesn't really change my thoughts going forward. I'm going to stick with 11-5.
Okay.
A-Train.
A-Train? What do you got, A-Train?
I'm gonna say that we're gonna go. Man, I think we can do 11-5. Do I think we're going to? I don't know. Probably not. If we keep being this inconsistent, I mean,
Yeah, that's the key.
that O-line is wet hot garbage. Actually, I think when I was looking at the PFF grades last night, Klein had the highest PFF grade out of any O-lineman right now.
Really?
So that says, yeah, I'm pretty sure he was the highest. Like him and O'Neal were up there,
Okay.
and then it's just trash, shit, ass, trash. So, I mean, I don't know, man. If we gave Kirk all day to pass because he likes the Statue of Liberty hero play, it like you said, he likes to be a hero. If we gave him 15 minutes to throw a fucking pass, I think he'd be great. But he gets about 3 seconds before somebody who's even getting double teamed still gets through our cardboard cutouts of O-linemen. So, I don't know, man. I guess I would say, I think we could do, I'll go not too far off of Hammers, but I think I could see 10 wins. Mid-9 or 10 wins?
Yeah, I'm thinking 10 wins as well, and I'm thinking we're going to win out at home, and we're gonna win 2 away games, probably tomorrow against the Giants and against the Chargers. I don't see us beating Seattle. I have this schedule right here. I don't see us beating Seattle. I don't see us beating Dallas away. I don't see us beating Kansas City away. So, maybe at Detroit, but Detroit's playing even better. But so I don't lose this thought, talking about our offensive line, fucking F-line is playing like he shouldn't even be there. He's lunging, he's off balance, he's getting beat like a drum, like every other play. What are we going to do with F-line? I thought he was going to be a solid, offensive lineman for us, but he's not. Can we help him?
I did too. I liked him coming out of Ohio State a couple of years ago as well. This is surprising to me too that even at left guard he's struggling.
Really injury.
Well, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt before because we had moved him to center, and so then it was like, well, okay, maybe he's just better at guard than center. And there were other people in draft circles that felt the same way that I had heard, like John Ledger from the Draft Network had said that once.
Okay.
But yeah, these first 4 games, granted we've played a couple of good defenses, but at the same time, I feel like he is still underperforming. I think what we're going to do about it is maybe draft a first-round offensive line guard in a year or 2.
Yeah.
Like a first-round
year or 2?
Guard.
Yeah.
In a year or 2? Should be spending everything we have on that O-line over the next 3 years. Everything we have.
Yeah, that's what Dallas does. Dallas, when, Jerry Jones, he makes sure that his offensive line is solid because that's where it starts. You could have a great quarterback, but if he doesn't have time, what good is it?
You could have a shit quarterback that plays great behind a fantastic A+ O-line.
Right. Exactly. So you got to get solid. O'Neal's playing great. Bradbury is just waking up to the NFL. I mean, he's getting his ass kicked, but he's a rookie.
Very hard.
He'll beef up a little bit in the off season and come back really strong, and then. We got the left side is just hurting. Reef is getting older. He's not as good as he used to be, and certainly F-line is getting his ass kicked. I mean, so we got to figure that out, soon, or else we're
Reef is getting paid way too much for what he's doing. He's part of my dead weight article. He's getting what, 28 million or something for like 3 or 4 years or something, and he's. I think wasn't he better than Remmers when those two first kind of came in? Or am I getting that backwards? Yeah, it was Reef. Reef was a little bit better than Remmers.
Yeah.
But now Reef is still not doing amazing.
Yeah, he's declining a little bit, and so if we can get that, and then our tight ends look pretty good. I like number 84. I think he looks really good, and he's going to get more.
Moss?
What's that?
Randy Moss?
No.
84?
84, yeah, 84 club.
Irv Smith Jr.,
Yeah. He's
Swerving Irvin.
He's looking like, if you can get him involved, I mean, he's a solid player.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just, we got to get Kirk to just throw the ball, and I was watching Zimmer, and he was talking about, maybe he didn't say it directly, but what he was saying is, Kirk, just throw the ball. If you make a couple of picks, fine. You just can't like start dancing around like Hammer was talking about the happy feet. Just drop back, let it go. You see it, trust it, let it go. You make a couple of interceptions, you hit, fine. But you can't sit back there and diddle-daddle and running around, and then you're fumbling, and then, everyone's upset because they're open and you're not throwing the ball. Throw the ball. So hopefully that'll resonate. Yeah.
You need to make mistakes at full speed.
Yeah.
Like Brett Favre. Most interceptions, one of the best quarterbacks ever, most interceptions.
Yeah.
Goes hand in hand.
Did you hear what he said once, that sometimes, this is Favre, he would throw the ball, he never knew who he was throwing it to, remember? Did you ever hear that?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
He said he would just
Makes sense.
He's a gunslinger, man.
Yeah, he's a gunslinger. He said he would just throw it. He didn't even know what he just knew he had to throw it, or else he was going to get sacked, so maybe Cousins can be more like that and just say, fuck it, just let it go. So I'm hoping for that. Are you guys going to go to any games this year?
Yes. I am going to the Eagles game next weekend.
Oh, wow.
With another group of friends, not Hammer here, unfortunately. And then me and Hammer are going to the Bears game. That'll be fun because it'll be a season finale. Maybe it'll be for the division. That might be a deciding game. But yeah, it could be flex too. But that last Bears game, we do have the tickets for that as well. So yeah, 2 games this year. Usually I get to 1, he does 2. But yeah, 2 games for me this year.
Perfect. We're going to get to meet Funky Town at the game.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I have season tickets, and I usually sell them online. And I did sell my Philadelphia tickets, and then I'm running a game to win tickets to the Redskins. If you, I don't know if you've seen that on the Purple Pain, forum I have. If you guess, stats for like tomorrow's game, you can win tickets to the Vikings. I'd like to give those tickets away and have someone win them so I can give them away. But I might also go to the Packers and Chicago game at the end of the season. That would be cool if those games mean something, you know what I mean? Because the place will be rocking, just rocking, and no one can beat us at home when we're playing like we play, when we play. So that should be great. So yeah.
How many games do you get to every year then with the season tickets?
Well, believe it or not, last year, and I think I told Hammer, I actually lived in Minneapolis for football season before I bought my home here in Phoenix, and I went to every home game. And then before that, I would just go to the big games like Packers. In 2016, the first year I went to the Dallas's game. But most of the time I just sell them online and try to make money, from my investment. It was like an investment. So this year it'll only be those 2 games that I will go to, and hopefully they mean something. And we're playing, for playoff spot maybe, or division, or maybe home field advantage. Wouldn't that be cool to have, 2 playoff games? And where that Minneapolis Miracle game, I was at the stadium. What a great experience. I mean, the place was just, unbelievable how, we went from like dead to, unbelievable. So, that should be fun.
I think D-Like 27 is working his way up to having a luxury suite every game at some point in time.
No, man. I bet those are nice.
Yeah. I do want to. Nice. I want to do that. Delta Club? Where you can go inside.
Right. Heard of that.
Oh, where you're kind of sitting and by the restaurant, it's where the players walk through, and you're like sitting there eating, and Kyle Rudolph's walking by, and you're throwing your chicken grease on his shoulder.
yeah, your chicken wings at him, and go Vikes. So what you do is if you can get a seat within F1 to F5, you're in the club, and you can go downstairs and watch them come in and out, and then go back up and watch the game. Yeah, I'm going to do that, but it's pricey, so it could be like $500 a ticket or $800 a ticket, which, you got to sell a lot of widgets to.
Well, if you can afford season tickets, I mean, let's be honest. You can probably afford to go to the club ones.
Yeah. I think I can if I keep. I've been selling all my life, and I've had a business since 1997, Vike.com, and all these years of like cold calling clients and deals and all that, I got to give myself a reward somehow, some way, and so there it was, and now
the reward is Kirk Cousins. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Vikings, for Kirk Cousins. I would have never done that deal, but I'm not an owner, so we'll see what happens. But let's just give him some time. Let's say, okay, he's going to turn things around, and we're going to look back on this and say, hey, the guy turned it around. He's got us headed in the right direction. We're going to get our first Super Bowl, and why not this year? You know what I mean? Why not this year? So that's what I'm thinking.
At least it was only 3 years, and he's already almost going to be, I mean, at the end of the season, two of those 3 are done. So this is actually going to go by quick, and next thing you know, we'll be talking about something else. Talking about somebody else getting paid too much.
Yeah. If he doesn't stop performing, the idea of guaranteed contracts, no one's going to want to do those again, right? Do you agree with that? Because
I heard yesterday somebody say, I think it was that Pat McAfee, that old kicker who has his own show or podcast now with like NBC.
Yeah.
I think he said, give Kirk's agent like the award or the whatever the year award, because he probably set that up. You think Kirk was like, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that? I'm sure it was all the agent. Kirk's just like, yeah, I'll take the money. I got a family. I got a sweet Astro van. I got to keep putting tires on. I got to buy all this ranch so I can be with my family, cups of ranch.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, he made what? He made at least $40 million with the Redskins because they franchised him 2 years in a row, right? And now another 84. Yeah. What's that?
I think around 45, yeah.
Yeah, and now he's got the 84. I mean, this guy, how much more does he need?
I thought the whole point of the franchise tag was to actually keep somebody around for multiple years. They were going to be your franchise quarterback. So you're going to have them for like 5+ years, just however long they're healthy and playing. Isn't that the whole point of a franchise tag, not just giving it 1 year at a time?
No, it's they give every player has a chance to be franchised, and it's just a 1 year deal at the top. You get the top money.
Which is more money.
Which is more money, yeah. But that's the problem is it's not long term. So after a year, you could be hurt and then out of money. So that's why they want long-term deals, and certainly a guaranteed long-term deal makes all the sense in the world for the player, not the organization, because, football player is only one play away from being hurt for the rest of his life. You just never know. So I don't know. I wouldn't have done it, but, let's say, go ahead.
There could be examples of a team maybe franchise tagging a player just to give them 1 more year to try to work out a long-term deal with them. Mm-hmm. That could be. I think that maybe was what the A-Train was thinking of.
I was just thinking logically the word franchise to me means long organization, history, long-term. That's a franchise. If you're running a franchise, you're doing this. It's probably your whole life. It's everything.
With the Kirk Cousins example, the Redskins, I think, were franchise tagging him back-to-back years because they weren't sold on him long-term. Like, they weren't sure they wanted to commit a 5-year contract to Kirk Cousins, so they said, well, we'll postpone that decision another year or two. We'll just keep him around 1 more year, 2 more years, and then we'll make a decision on if he's our long-term guy or not. And at the end of the franchise tag, he was not their guy, and they traded for Alex Smith.
The fact that the Redskins did that and thought that should say something.
Yes.
The Redskins.
Yeah, right. If they don't want him, why do we? So, and then there's
thinking logically.
Yeah, they also have a tag called a transition tag, which I'm not even familiar with what sort of that entails. But there's another tag that you can put on a player to try to hold on to him without giving him a long-term deal. I don't know. It's all too complicated for me. But bottom line is, we are stuck with Mr. Kirk Cousins for at least 2 more years, including this year. So let's see if we can get the most out of him as we can, and at least get us. He's got to at least get us to a playoff so we have a chance. If he doesn't do that, this is a huge bust.
Yeah.
It's almost a bust like the Herschel Walker trade. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that trade. You know,
The greatest trade in history?
what's that?
The greatest trade in history.
The
Is that what you mean?
greatest- yeah, for Dallas. you know, one guy is never going to make all the difference in the world for a team. Sure, you need a great quarterback like a Brady or something like that, but you still need the people around you and good coaching and a good system and people getting along. I mean, we're 2-2 and they're fucking fighting already. I mean, how stupid is that? If we were 0-4 and we were getting blown out of every game, I could see that. But we're 2-2, could have easily been 3-1, and we're still fighting. Come on, what's going on? So I don't know. Any other thoughts that we want to throw out there for Viking Nations? And I hope Viking Nations, if you're watching this is Odin's Dan, A-Train, OdinHammer. You do your podcast weekly? Is how you do it? Once a week or?
Yes, during the regular season and the preseason and the regular season, and if there is a postseason, and lately there hasn't been, yes, once a week, and then when it's in the off season, just once a month, because there really isn't that much to talk about.
Okay. And people can find you via social media and like a Purple Pain forum, or what are some of the ways they can find your podcast?
Yeah, you can pretty much find us anywhere you look, as the Full House theme says. You can go to iTunes, you can go to Stitcher, you could go to Spotify, you could go to YouTube, you could go to any major podcast aggregator, even smaller ones. We should be on there. Yeah. Of course, the Purple Pain forums, we're on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just type in Odin's, just Google Odin's Dan podcast. You don't even need the podcast part, and you'll still find us.
Okay. Well, I've listened to a couple of episodes, and very entertaining. I was trying to ask myself, what is a good podcast? What makes a good podcast? And I think the answer is you got to be yourself, number one. And adding some entertainment value. I was trying to do the same thing. I did one podcast. I don't know if you saw it, about our cheerleaders. And I was trying to be entertaining because I was comparing our cheerleaders to Dallas's cheerleaders. And when Dallas's cheerleaders do their kick line, their toes and their legs are just like perfect.
Whoa. I don't want to get me too'd on this podcast. You better settle down, man. No talk about toes and legs. Just keep it to the brain and the face.
But our kick line, their legs are all over the place. I was trying to be entertaining.
What are you trying to say about the Minnesota Vikings cheerleaders, man? What are you trying to say?
They can't kick past parallel. That's what I was trying to say. I'll send you the podcast. You can take a look. But I was trying to be entertaining, trying to be myself. But it's all good. It's all fun, and I love the technology. I mean, this podcast went through nicely, no issues. Bandwidth seemed to handle, the communication between the three of us, and I like the fact that you got the headphones on. Do you also have a microphone, A-Train?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, okay.
Right here, buddy.
Yeah. I thought. I'm still waiting for mine. It was being shipped yesterday, I thought, but it's not here, and
yeah.
So
I'm technically where the hammer usually sits. He's kind of over. He's off to the side of the main bat computer, if you will, in the podcast studio. My nice 2 dual monitors and a little bit better microphone. Of course, I have better things than he does. And I got nicer headphones. I got some Sennheiser headphones. I got a Behringer input. I got some Audio-Technica microphones here too. Just some nice little cheap $20 headphones here for the hammer. But yeah. Yeah, I would say invest in good audio equipment. What makes a good podcast? What you were saying, invest in good audio equipment. Learn, invest in a good production quality value in just a good production value, and just learn, just get to know software, hardware, just maximize it to the best of your ability, and try to just be yourself, bring whatever creativity to the table.
Yeah.
Just be different. I mean, there's how many podcasts out there are technically, and no offense, just a Skype call with like 3-4 buddies that know each other. They just get on a Skype call and they just shoot the shit about their opinions, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I watch that, and unless I know those guys, or they really entertain me, or they're really funny or something specific, I don't really want to watch that. I don't really find it that entertaining. I'm probably not going to listen to that. Unless I really want to hear what those specific people have to say, or I want to hear those people talk, I'm probably not going to listen to that.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. So that's why we try to do like the prank phone calls. And did you like the Bears prank? Yeah, drops, prank phone calls, pre-recorded segments. Did you like the Bears caller there, D-Vike?
Yes.
Remember the Bears caller that called in? Was that you? That wasn't you, was it?
No, it wasn't me.
Was that you, D-Vike?
No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Any last message to Vikings Nation that might be listening? Anything you'd like to say to our fans?
Go ahead, since I've dominated the conversation.
Well, I figured this would be an A-Train spotlight because I'm just here to test the bandwidth, really. But if we're looking for
his whole life to test the bandwidth.
I'm usually the sidekick, but I would just say shout out to the Purple Pain forums and the rest of Viking Nation. The Giants have a rough defense. I think this is a turnaround game for Kirk Cousins, and I think we're going to go on a little winning streak here. So, Skull Vikings is my last statement.
Awesome. A-Train, final thought.
How predictable. My final thoughts are Kirk Cousins probably needs to get a hearing aid, maybe get some glasses, he could go to Sage Rosenfeld's quarterback school. He has like a quarterback camp. Maybe he could go to that and learn how to try to like scramble a little bit or get a first down or something. I think we're going to haven't we had a pretty decent history lately of beating the Giants? Lately, haven't we been pretty good against them?
Yeah, we have.
Well, I mean, we play them every 4 years, I guess, but the last 2 meetings, haven't we kind of kicked their asses?
Yeah. We've had good luck against the Giants, generally speaking. So why not continue that trend? Because we need to. This is, I don't know if this is a must-win, but I'm calling it a must-win because for morale. If we lose, I mean, we're fighting at 2-2. If we lose, it's going to be a riot. Everyone's going to be unhappy, and people are going to be walking out the door, skipping practice, and it's not going to be, it's not going to be fun. So this is a must-win, and for our esteem, if you will, the team's esteem, and for us, so we can feel good about ourselves again, for Christ's sakes, as fans.
I think the next 4 games will shape up the mid-season point, and by that point, I think we'll have a pretty good idea of how the season's going to go. It's either going to not be that great, or if we take three or all 4 out of the next 4 games, and I think we're going to be sitting pretty good. We're going to be back to how we should be. But if we lose more of those, or all of those, or what have you, then it's going to pretty much be hang up the gloves.
Yeah.
At that point.
Well,
hang up the box gloves.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey guys, thanks again. I look forward to doing this again in the future. Maybe we can do one before we head into the playoffs. See how I'm thinking positive already? Or sooner. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to.
27 is a made guy, and he gets what he wants. So.
Gets season tickets. Goes to Minneapolis Miracle. He can see any Cardinals game he wants down there.
I'm only 15 minutes from the stadium. So.
Oh man, too bad you aren't a Cardinals fan.
Yeah.
Man, you'd be in heaven right now. Be in heaven.
I might go to the Chargers game because it's only a 5-hour drive out to LA. So that's pretty nice. And I think you can get tickets to the Chargers game because no one goes. as a Charger fan. So, yeah.
Ouch. I thought they were doing okay this year. Aren't they still okay? They got Phillip Rivers. They got some decent defensive players.
But they have a terrible stadium. That's the problem to play in right now. But their new one's looking good. But hey, thanks again. Let's finish this with a skull. Give me a skull.
All right. And I'm going to bring in John Ray.
Skull. Skull.